What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I'm super excited to be in front of the camera again to talk to you guys. And in this video, we're talking about my journey from starting off not knowing anything about photography to a year and a half later being a published photographer in Voyage Dallas magazine. Really cool experience for me. I've had a lot of ups and downs with photography, but I really wanted to share my journey for anybody out there that's picking up photography or just interested in the journey. Hopefully this video will be value to you. So I started photography in 2018. I was actually gifted a camera set from a friend, and when I started photography, I didn't know anything about it. I actually started on the front side of the camera. My friend was a photographer, and I was kind of modeling for him. I didn't really know anything about photography, and a little bit later, he actually gifted me that camera set, and when I got it, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about ISO. I didn't know anything about aperture. I'm talking ground zero. So kind of the first thing I did was just take photos of whatever I could. And I watched a lot of YouTube videos about how do I operate a camera? What's the tool that I'm using here and how do I use it? So I would just watch a bunch of videos and I'd practice with ISO. Biggest thing was I shot in manual. I did not shoot in auto. I shot in manual so that I could learn the camera and learn how does this thing work, And that was really big for me because as I got more advanced and it became, crunch time with certain photos and I had to operate, I wasn't just relying off of auto. I knew how to use the camera and I knew how to adjust for things. So I think that's a big tip is starting off, just put the camera in manual and try to figure it out. Try to learn how to use the camera. So I did that and I started just taking photos of whatever I could. I just took, photos of dogs or, family friends or get-togethers, just whatever to try to figure out okay, what do I like taking photos of? And after a couple months, I figured, okay, so I don't really like taking photos of weddings and stuff, which is what a lot of people do photos of. Instead, I like, fitness and fashion because I can tell stories with my photography. And so that's what I did. I started taking photos for free of people that were local that, were involved in fitness or fashion. And I would pretty much curate the whole shoot. So I would come up with the outfit ideas. I'd come up with the locations. I would, pretty much put the whole idea together. And I'd reach out to these people online. And sometimes when you're starting off, you have to work with people that are not as experienced. And if you don't have any experience as well, it's okay because you can both learn together. And as you get more experience, you can work with more experienced clientele. But I started off just, reaching out to models and just acquiring photos to put in my portfolio. That was the biggest thing to me, was just growing my portfolio every day, growing my portfolio. And I would do all my shoots for free. I do paid stuff on the side. If people ask me, definitely I take photos and get paid. But I just tried to do as many photos as I could for free to acquire more photos and grow my portfolio. That was the main concern. So I would grow my portfolio and I'd learn with every shoot what worked and what didn't work. And as I got more progressed in my photography journey, I realized how important my locations were. That was a big thing to me. As you can see in the photos that I've been sharing, geometry is a very big thing to me when I do photography. I love to have a very geometrical background with kind of a story to it. I would choose these big monolithic structures, these big kind of grayish structures. I really liked using kind of neutral colors as well, so that the focus could be on the model and not so much the background. The background was there and it was important, but it was kind of to show almost like a hero villain type of a vibe. I would choose these kind of monolithic, darker backgrounds that were kind of neutral colors and big with, geometrical shapes. And I would literally to me, it was so fun because I would just take the model, I would use the lines and I'd put the model right in the middle of the line so that it was like a perfect geometrical photo, that it was the model was like the central focus of everything, and that geometrical lines were meant to point to the model, that this is the focus. And so I would use that. I would use shadows a lot. I really loved using shadows and lines and geometrical shapes. And what I would do is, before I would meet with the model at the location, I would go to the location first to check it out and observe what I have to work with. And I would figure out the angles and everything. And that all came to play the next day. I was already ready for the shoot because I had gone there in person, seen everything. And I went, okay, I know I'm going to take this angle. I'm going to put the model here. I'm going to use this line, this shadow. The light's going to be hitting from right here. And so that really helped me with my shoots. And I would even, to find locations, I would scour the internet. I'd go on Google. I'd go on, Pinterest. I'd go on other people's profiles. Main thing for me was I wanted to try to find stuff that other photographers had not shooting at. try to find stuff that was kind of off the beaten path, that was a little different, a little weird. I mean, everybody knows to go to the certain parks or the certain, attractions for photography. I mean, people just type in best photography spots in whatever city. But to me, I always avoided that list. I wanted to go with stuff that people like never thought of would be a good photo. And I would drive down the road, and when I saw something that caught my eye, I would pull over and try to find a way to get in so I could see if it was a good spot. And that was kind of my process, scouting locations. And also too, when I was shooting, everybody always says, oh, shoot at golden hour, shoot at sunset. That's the best time. You don't want to shoot in harsh light. That would be the time that I would shoot, would be at harsh light, because I knew, I had to kind of take like a different approach and not be like every other photographer that shoots at golden hour, the same shots at the same locations. I wanted to be a little bit abstract and kind of strong in my approach. And so I would shoot I'd shoot all the time in harsh lighting. I would kind of put myself in those tough situations. And yeah, not every shoot went really well. Some of it was kind of hard because it is more difficult to work with in a, perfect soft lighting like a sunset or something. But I would choose those tough times and I would work with it. And I would it's kind of like going all in, and it's a certain style. Some people might not like it, but to me, I really like that hard lighting, kind of high fashion look. I began to love it, and I would just only want to shoot in hard lighting. And I never really used any artificial lighting, never used like any flashes or anything. I would just use the sunlight pretty much. And that really was kind of gave me the advantage because I could focus more on the creativity of the photo and, like the whole putting the photo together, like the composition. To me, the composition was everything. The composition was so important. I wanted you to look at the photo and just be amazed. Like, wow, like that's so cool. And I would come up with these unique structures and unique like formations. I loved working with dancers and people that, could move their bodies really well, athletes. I wanted it to be an action-packed photo. I wanted it to tell a story. Movement was such an important thing to me. I couldn't stand like a stale model. I wanted people that could move. And there's always a place for that. And, definitely, there's different kinds of modeling and there's different kinds of photos. Just for me, though, I loved high movement. I wanted my photos to tell a story. I wanted them to, be high action and just grab you just from the photo, have the photo literally reach out to you and grab you. That was my whole goal. And I would just go online. I'd go on YouTube and search a lot of stuff with, I think his name's Phlearn, Phlearn, Phlearn on YouTube. I learned a lot of stuff from him about Photoshop, because to me, Photoshop is very important when you're a photographer. It's super important. There would be a lot of times where I would take so I'd have a really good photo of the background of exactly what I wanted in the background, but the model was off. Like something was wrong. There was a shadow, whatever it was. So I got so good at Photoshop that I realized, okay, I could take the perfect background I want, and then I can look through my photos and find the perfect model pose or whatever, whenever they look the best. I could literally put a lasso tool around them, drop it into the other photo with the perfect background, and then just, make sure that the edges and everything is clean, kind of just do like a mask and make sure I clean up everything so that it looks perfect. And I would adjust the lighting to make sure it's, right and correct. And I put that photo out there and you wouldn't even be able to tell. I literally created a photo that didn't exist. I combined two different photos, and that's the power of Photoshop. And I always tried to not really release my editing process. In my early days, I did kind of show it because it was kind of a trend to show before and after and stuff. But I realized kind of the magic of not revealing what your editing technique is, and instead just kind of letting the viewer be, just shocked by it. That was always appealing to me, just kind of staying low key. And obviously if other photographers asked me and stuff, I would reveal that to them. But for the general public and people out there, I wouldn't really typically share my before and afters. I like just showing the after product, just showing, what it's like when it's finished, kind of like a nice work of art. And yeah, I would take photos every day. I was known as the photo guy because I was so committed to learning. And I would always ask other photographers questions. I was always looking at other photographers, not as competition, but as friends. And I would come to them, people that were ahead of me, and I'd say, hey, what have you learned? And, and I would share my mistakes, things I'm learning, what they're learning. And we would share networks. And to me, it helped me a lot collaborating with other photographers that were ahead of me, and they would show me their editing techniques, and they'd show me, how they export and all that. And that really helped me. It was nice to have a community of people that were all in the same journey of learning photography. And so I would pick, some people online that really inspired me, and I'd kind of take ideas from all of them, and I would create my own style. And I would, pretty much set up the whole shoots. I would pick the clothing that I was going to choose, for the shoot. I would make sure that I would send the model like a sketch of what's going to happen, and like a Pinterest board. That way we were on track. We knew what was going to happen, what the idea was going to be. And I worked with a lot of modeling agencies. I worked with, fitness people, and, different brands, like big brands. And it was fun. It was really fun. It was an awesome journey. It was tough at times, but it was well worth it. And I started in March 2018, and by October of 2019, I was published. So that was about a year and 6 months. And that was consistent work. That was working, all the time, like probably 5-6 days a week, really focusing on photography and doing as much shoots as I could. I would say like at least a shoot a week, doing shoots and getting out there. I think the best way to learn is just take photos of the stuff that you like, and just continually take photos and learn every shoot what works and what doesn't work, and just improve it every time. And take the photographers that you like, take your work and go, okay, how can I literally, like, what am I doing that's so different from theirs? And what kind of inspirations can I take from them to put it in my own work and make it my own style? And that was kind of a difficulty at times, was to find your own voice. But when you do, you'll crush it. And I loved kind of creating my own style, stuff that was unique to me. I didn't really see any other photographers doing the kind of stuff that I was doing. I was doing abstract stuff, and I just learned to love it. And it was a fun journey, and I'm still learning every day, and learning, the photography eye still even to this day. And I just wanted to share this video to hopefully inspire you if you're trying photography or you're interested in it. Hopefully this video will kind of give you some encouragement. If it did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I'm really appreciative that you're watching this, and I'm just thankful to kind of share my journey with you guys. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.